The Seattle Kraken have lots of cap space, and they're putting it to good use. I'm Gil Martin of Locked On NHL. Joining me now, Erica Ayala of Locked On Kraken, among other great Locked On shows. And Erica, the Seattle Kraken, as we were discussing, they have a lot of cap room. And the big move they make, two-time Stanley Cup champion André Burakovsky, a 5-year deal estimated at $5.5 million a year. Your thoughts initially about bringing in this experience and this type of player?
Yeah, I don't know if you just saw that, but when you said it out loud, my microphone got so excited. I mean, I think this is going to be a good deal. As you mentioned, Burakovsky, we are seeing the reports that it's a 5-year deal. Burakovsky has experience. I talked so much last season about the importance of playoff experience, deep playoff experience. And we've been talking a lot on Locked On Kraken that the next step for this team is really to push for being 500 or better. And when you have a signing like this, we know that there's injuries that were involved. Up run, that is hockey, baby, as John Forsland might say. But I'm very excited to see the caliber of player coming in with the young talent that we have as well.
And you get the best of both worlds in that he's only 27 years old. He's in the prime of his career right now, and you've pretty much locked him up for the rest of his prime. And yet he'll be able to provide that leadership and that knowing how to win culture to a young Kraken locker room.
And that's so important. We have our Firebird Fridays coming up. We spoke with assistant coach Jessica Campbell, who's at development camp right now. And we talk about the Kraken way. And that's built on, as you just mentioned, Gil, character. And character, we certainly saw that the remaining players from the Seattle Kraken, they built a lot of character, having the tough losses, the tough season that they did in the manner that they did, losing 5 players roughly out the gate to COVID protocol. And then, we had Drieger in and out of the lineup. And so that's one type of adversity. But then this is dealing with the competitiveness of the National Hockey League and having that experience, having someone who's been through that and knows what it takes to overcome it and not get too rattled. The Seattle Kraken at times making unforced errors, I think, because of the situationally not being able to take a calming breath and focus on, again, that Seattle Kraken way. So I think this is just going to continue to build out and iron out what Ron Francis and his team want to see from Kraken players.
No question. And I know it's early, but where do you envision him? Who are some of the possible line mates? Where do you see him fitting into this lineup?
Yeah, that's a great question. We see him as a left winger here. We know that we have some young centermen that are going to need some guidance. I'm not exactly sure where we see Matty Beniers fall in that, or even Wenberg for that matter. I mean, you also think of other players like Jared McCann, who we know we have on contract. Yanni Gourde, they have him listed at cap friendly in every position because, that's what he's basically had to do for us. So I like, the idea if you can find someone with Jared McCann. Does that mean he switches to center? Because he also plays on that left wing. Carson Coleman, we just added, who obviously is on or we extended, I should say, and we have him on the right wing with Morgan Geekie and Cole Lind. So I think there's a lot of potential here. I am very curious, though, to see. I know that the Seattle Kraken, another one of our philosophies, through Ron Francis, is building up that middle. So I really want to see what the centerman pairings are going to be and then figure out what the right balance of experience and explosive speed and skill is going to be. But there are definitely some options from at least what we have on the roster right now.
Yeah, it's almost like a good problem to have when you're talking about different choices and different opportunities. Obviously, the Kraken have a lot of cap space. What else do you see them looking to do during this free agency period?
And we talked about this on the show yesterday, Gil. I was a little surprised that there wasn't more of a focus on defense. I think defensively speaking, we had a lot of size, but I'm not sure we had a lot of speed or even comfortability and skill. And as a defender, you're going to have to be able to maneuver the puck in all three zones to be able to then contribute to that offensive threat. Lots of sloppy exits and entries, making, again, those little unforced errors and mistakes. So I would like to see what the Seattle Kraken do defensively. There are reports that Justin Schultz perhaps is getting a 2-year deal with the Seattle Kraken. He spent time with the Washington Capitals last season. So I'm looking certainly defensively. And then, of course, I mentioned Drieger earlier. We know we're not getting him back at best until about March as he's recovering from an ACL injury he experienced with Hockey Canada. So I'm very curious to see what we do with some of our free agents that we have that are goaltenders. I'm getting the sense, though, just from how things are playing out and that there is a little bit of a waiting game. We also picked up a goalie in the draft, that maybe the Seattle Kraken are looking to see what they can do in free agency to maneuver to get some support for Philip Grubauer.
We shall see. Erica, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could follow you on social media?
Absolutely. Well, you can find Locked On Kraken, your daily Seattle Kraken podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And, of course, Locked On Kraken on YouTube, which is where we do a lot of our availabilities. Ron Francis is going to be talking to media in a little bit here. So if you want to see that in full, go to our YouTube page, and you can follow me at elindsay08. That's ELINDSAY08.
All right, Erica Ayala, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Gil.